We often think that influence is only saved for very specific situations, but in reality, every time we're trying to make a difference in somebody's point of view, how they feel and what they think and what they do, we're into influence. The key to influence is always to understand the perspective of the person that you're trying to influence. Because what you want to do is start from where they are and move them to where you want them to be. And I'm talking moving in relationship to attitudes, feelings, thoughts, thinking, that sort of thing. How we do that is by really understanding their perspective. Now, a perspective requires an understanding of the context of the particular situation that's under discussion. What are the facts of that, for example? Also, the feelings, how the person feels about that particular situation. What their assumptions are. An assumption is really what something means to the other person. So it's an assumption that comes from an understanding of the facts or their point of view on the facts. So assumptions are really very important. Underneath all of that is an understanding of what their values are, what they really care about, what matters to them. When we have that context, facts, feelings, assumptions, and values, we're really in a good place to be able to say, I understand where they are, and now I can figure out how I'm going to get them to where I want them to be. We're going to do a bit of a scenario. Jillian is here to help me, and she's going to be telling us a story, an experience that she just had with a coworker. And I'm going to be asking questions. I'm going to be using some active listening skills to be able to understand what that experience meant to her. And we're also going to end with a little bit of what is it that you want. And that, in many situations, is an important part of the perspective. Thanks, Jillian, for helping me out with this. Now, you have an experience to share with us. What exactly has just happened for you?
Well, I have a bit of a experience or kind of a tricky situation with a colleague. Okay, so I was recently promoted and given charge of the marketing for our convention center that we are running. And part of that is a strategy that determines what is our branding, what are the kind of brands or businesses we want to showcase in the marketing that we have, not to market ourselves, but to other people that pay us.
So your role is that of that marketing piece that says, how is it that we get the right businesses in to this facility? So it's not a sales piece as much as it is a connection piece, is that right?
Well, I'm in charge of our brand and our brand strategy, and marketing and the businesses that we showcase is part of that.
Right.
So I have reached out to some colleagues that I worked with before. One I worked really closely with in another organization, Kara, and we've been in discussions about, she works for a large telecommunication company, how we could partner and what kind of marketing they could do at our convention center and how we could partner with them.
So sort of like a win-win.
Yeah.
To be mutually beneficial.
Of course. I mean, it's going to end up with them ideally paying to advertise in our building, but yes, win-win. And also it impacts our brand. So I set up a meeting with her after a number of conversations and her people, and they came, toured the site. We had a meeting. I myself was there, my team, and also the director of retail space. So he was there as well.
So had you invited him, because it was kind of your meeting with Kara?
Well, he's going to be involved too, and and I know he wanted to make a connection with them, and also if retail space frees up in the building, that would be a great partner. So I thought it would be great. So he was in the meeting. The meeting went well. We did the tour. We went through some of the things that would be nice to have, or some great ideas that Kara and I had been kind of throwing over, and then Tom made this big play for, I'm the primary contact. So when we talked to the next step, he's like, I'm the primary contact. He
actually said that.
Yes, he said that, I think, like 3 times. It was like, okay, you were really pushing home that you're the primary contact when I'm the one that has been setting this up. I've been the one that's cultivating this relationship. I'm the one that has done all this, but he's the primary contact.
So how was that when he said that? What happened to you in terms of what were you thinking? How are you feeling at that point in time? Because man, that's more than surprised, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, I felt like he was out of line, but also he's out of line, but I can't do anything about it because we're putting on a great show of this is, come and work with us. We can't show sort of infighting or power struggles within.
So really in a tight spot at that point in time.
Yeah, well, and it made me concerned. So what has happened since that meeting is he's been out of town. He doesn't respond to emails when I tried to talk about it. Then I got a text message from Kara saying, "Hey, so the new second meeting's been set up. I noticed you're not on the invite. Are we coming to this meeting? Do you know about this meeting?" None of us in marketing knew about that meeting. So in regards to that, it was Tom coming around the other side, being the primary contact. And anyways, it just...
So at that point in time, what did that mean to you? Like, what did you think his intention was when he did that?
I'm pretty sure he knows good and well that something that used to be his kind of purview has been moved officially through the reorg to my purview, and he's just not...
So he wants to continue to hang on to that, especially if it looks like it's going to be positive. Is that the sense?
I do not know. All I know is it seems unethical to me, and bullying, quite frankly.
So it sounded like you have a real emphasis on collaboration, which is why you brought him in to sort of make sure that everybody that had a stake in it was there and possibly be helpful. But that was not how he responded. It sounds like it was kind of more competitive. Is that?
That's the way I perceive it anyways. That's what I think. He wants to win at what? This is... Yeah. I mean, if it comes to a win-lose, who's going to lose is the organization. Yeah, because we're all on the same team, I thought.
Yeah, so there's a lot of losses. Certainly, it must have put you in a very embarrassing, uncomfortable, close to, like, I don't know whether we call it a betrayal, but certainly a very difficult situation with a colleague, and in terms of how is it that you're going, and a quandary of how you're going to actually rescue this situation. Is that...
If I didn't have such a good relationship with Kara, if we hadn't worked together, then I think we would be in a real tricky situation.
Yeah, done. Yeah, pretty much done.
They don't have to work with us.
Yeah, right, absolutely, absolutely. What do you think should happen? What do you want to have happen now?
Well, internally, there needs to be some real clear discussions in regards to whose responsibility is what, and where do we overlap, and where do we not overlap. And I think there's some different ideas in regards to what he thinks versus what I think. And so the organization needs to weigh in. I'm not going to keep on trying to, prove that this is my job. If they've hired me to do this job, then I want to be able to do that job.
Not push that rope up the hill.
Not that, yes. So that is one. I need to have that, and it can't just be me. It needs to be my VP, his VP. We need to sort this out with HR so we know whose job is what. Mm-hmm. And then if he steps out of line again, I need to know exactly what I should be doing in that situation, because I do not believe that is appropriate. Yeah. And I'm not going to work for an organization that treats their employees like that. So if he's going to be that way, look.
So there's some real consequences here, for you personally in terms of staying with the organization. So this is really kind of a high stakes conversation, and one that is, you're really expecting some leadership from the supervisor of both of you to make that clear. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what we're going to stop the role play now, and I'm just going to summarize. And you wouldn't necessarily do this in an influence situation, but just for the purpose of this video, I'm going to summarize what I've learned about the situation. So, in terms of the context, Jillian is in a situation where she has a responsibility that's been clearly defined to her, and she is maximizing her success by using other people in her network from the past to actually engage in that strategy with her in a very collaborative win-win situation. So that's a value that seems to have come up quite a bit. When we examined the facts of the situation relative to Tom, he doesn't seem to share that same value. That the kinds of things that he's concerned with are really about maximizing his power and influence. That's what it seems like. And from Jillian's perspective, that's disconcerting to say the least, but also is putting her in a very pressurized situation, one where if she doesn't manage this pretty well, there's a possibility of failure, but also that she will say, I'm not going to stay in this kind of a situation any longer. So this is actually threatening to her employment as well. So it's pretty high stakes for her. There's a lot of pressure that's going on in this situation for Jillian. In terms of her value system around collaboration, she really sees that as acting on behalf of the organization. So it's not just a situation of me against Tom. This is a situation of a win-lose situation for the organization itself. So again, it's pretty high stakes. She's made it pretty clear as to what it is that she wants. She wants some accountability, some acceptance of responsibility to ensure that there is role clarity in this situation, and who ought to be involved in that situation. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so that's pretty much. Now, in relationship to influence, we're going to stop there in terms of that demonstration relative to context, facts, feelings, assumptions and values and objectives. Those are really the guts of it. Now, some of the things I did, I'll ask Jillian now. What were some of the things that I did in the conversation that may have been helpful for you to actually describe your perspective?
Well, you asked me questions and you kind of clarified your understanding. So that made me feel like you were listening and that I should continue. And it also kind of prompted a little bit of deeper thinking in regards to what it was like for me, because I don't think in those terms. I don't think, well, this is what it was like for me. It was like, I can't believe you did this. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, because oftentimes we do have those sort of emotional responses that are very important. And that's an important point that she brings up, that oftentimes our good listening and our interest in someone's perspective actually allows them to expand their perspective and deepen it. And that's a gift that we give to them as well as to ourselves using this particular methodology. Now, depending upon the situation that you're in, if you're in a situation where you are trying to influence someone around policy, or it's a part of a larger issue, then this is just one piece of the puzzle. You would use the same kind of a situation, however, the same kind of skills and behaviors, if it's simply a customer service situation where a customer has come with a problem and you need to understand the facts, the feelings, the assumptions, the objectives. All of those things remain the same. So influence, it can be as small as getting your child to clean their room, or as large as adopting a huge IT project in your organization. This methodology is the same. It starts with understanding where that person is that you want to influence and helping them to expand perhaps their perspective, to change their perspective more in line with what it is that you feel is more effective. Happy influencing.